And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
I don't want you to protest, I don't want you to riot, I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being, God damn it! My life has value!
We get together, have a few laughs.
The United States spends over $87 billion conducting a war in Iraq, while the United Nations estimates that for less than half that amount, we could provide clean water, adequate diets, sanitation services, and basic education to every person on the planet. And we wonder why terrorists attack us. Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. It's an excellent book we've talked about before. I recommend you go buy it right now and read it.
Welcome to Iowatalkguyspodcast. I am your host, Teepee. I'm sitting here with Theo.
I'm your host, Theo.
And we've talked about that book many times. Some weird shit's going on out in the shack here today. As we start recording this, the fluorescent light bulb above our head just started swinging for no reason.
Unused.
Must be Klaus Schwab and his buddies don't want us talking about what we're about to talk to you today.
It must be. It must be an omen. Yeah. Or it's just the fan that's not pointing at us.
Probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
the reason I brought that up is because the last line right there, a lot of people don't like being asked, and we wonder why terrorists attack us. Yeah, it's pretty inconvenient to ask, and I'm definitely not saying that any of the people that commit acts of terrorism anywhere around the world are thinking rationally at that point. But let's think about a country like a nation, a government, a people like Iran.
Okay.
You know, why would they not like us?
Oh, I don't know.
TP?
Probably because the CIA, overthrew their government and put in the puppet, the Shah of Iran.
Mossadegh was the president. I believe he was democratically elected. Everybody loves democracy, right? Everybody loves democracy so much.
Mostly, yeah. That's what we're doing, just trying to spread democracy, right?
Oh, by the CIA overthrowing a democratically elected regime, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Well, and then that led to the Iran hostage situation.
Decades later.
Well, and the Shah of Iran was just a dictator, a Western puppet installed.
Threw people in jail. Yes, he was a Western puppet that threw people in jail for free speech.
And all the Iranians knew that he was controlled by the U.S. government.
It was most likely to defend an oil monopoly that BP had. And it was a Roosevelt that did it for the CIA.
British Petroleum. Why would U.S. military be protecting British Petroleum?
Well, that's U.S. intelligence.
Anyway.
Reported on June 28th.
Speaking of Iran.
By Reuters. Parisa Hafizi and Guy Falconbridge. That's a neat name, I thought, when I was prepping here.
Okay.
Falconbridge, isn't that pretty sweet?
Sure.
The first paragraph here, reported from Dubai and London. Iran, which holds the world's second largest gas reserves, has applied to join the BRICS group of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa that Beijing and Moscow cast as a powerful emerging market alternative to the West.
Right, we've talked about this before.
I didn't know
BRICS Plus.
Yeah, I didn't know that the term was coined by a Goldman Sachs guy. Here it says.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Jim O'Neill, by a Goldman Sachs guy in 2001.
Now we know. knowing is half the battle.
Well, he coined the term, and it says here in 2009, according to this Reuters article, that is when the BRICS powers, or BRIC,
Their first summit.
rather BRIC without S, South Africa, had their first summit, and then South Africa joined in 2010.
So it was coined in 2001 and then actually became a reality 8 years later. That's interesting.
Right.
Well, and I like here what the Russian Foreign Minister spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said. While the White House was thinking about what else to turn off in the world, ban, or spoil, Argentina and Iran applied to join the BRICS. So that's very interesting. I've already said this before, and I've said it to you privately in conversations. BRICS and BRICS Plus, now it's BRICS Plus, is going to be deemed as the new axis of evil.
That's an interesting take, and I just wouldn't put it past the folks running the show out east of where we're at.
Right. They're going to become the new boogeyman, the new threat to American democracy, even though they have no threat. They have threat to our currency.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's all about, well, they're getting out of the dollar. I mean, we're going to talk about this more.
Yes.
Yeah, they're looking at ways to bail from the dollar.
Every
Talked
country
about
is.
the Putin Saudi prince meeting already.
Yep. The phone call after the Biden.
Yeah, the phone call.
The Biden
after
visit.
The nap fest.
Yeah. That probably wasn't taken all too seriously, unfortunately.
So, yeah, the point here is that Iran has a lot to bring to the table, and they have people that are willing to work with them. They are applying to be in this economic group with them.
Right.
As opposed to treating them like they're just the bastard stepchild of the global stage.
Yeah, I mean, even under Trump, remember when we smoked one of their generals in Iraq?
Yeah.
With a Predator drone?
Yeah.
And then showed his picture all over the internet? Like
Soleimani?
Yeah. It's what we do to you boys. But it's really messed up because we're worried about, I guess we the people are not too much worried about this, but the U.S. government is afraid of Iran having nuclear weapons. That's why they've been stalling, even though under the Obama administration they allowed a lot of nuclear power deals to happen with Iran and whatnot. Which, hey, why not? Nuclear energy is really clean, good energy for your country.
Yeah. Provides a lot of energy in a very small footprint.
Right. What they're all afraid
Incredibly
of is
safe.
Especially nowadays, yeah, we don't really have to worry about anything. Like we've learned, okay? Technology's advanced, believe it or not.
Very much.
Look at your phone. It comes out, new ones come out every freaking year. Better technology. You don't think that's happening in other industries? You're wrong. Right. Anyways, the U.S. government's worried about Iran making nukes. Now with them partnering in BRICS, they'll be direct partners with countries that have nuclear ability. So once again, like I said, that these really are going to be spun as the axis of evil. And then it said in that last article that Argentina was joining, and then in July,
hold on, let's that's a really big deal. I mean, that's our hemisphere. First of all, we've already got Brazil, so they're a big player.
Yeah,
in the original BRIC, huge, but they're isolated from the rest.
Well,
Argentina is another major foothold, and it's on that Atlantic coast of South America.
And Argentina has a very, very unique history with partnering with European countries in the past. So it's kind of interesting that they're now going to partner with Eastern countries, I guess you'd want to call it. The East, as you'd want to say.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't have any malice towards anybody, really. I think that the position of Iowa Talk Guys, tell me if I'm wrong, I can officially say for us is that we vote for peace every time.
Absolutely.
And
every
diplomacy time. And essentially no military action ever unless American soil is under threat.
Right, which we really would want every avenue to be taken prior to that even happening. And but obviously, if that happened and there was an invasion, yes, then defend our homeland. But
nut up and get ready.
Yeah, absolutely. So
let's move on.
Yeah, Algeria's president said at the end of July that they were interested in joining the BRICS group. Right?
Yeah. Yes. Algeria. I found this article. It was published by the Reuters staff on the last day of July 31st. It's actually a really, I'll just read the whole thing because it's just a really... This is the Reuters staff. Credit to them. In their commodity news section on July 31st of this year, Algeria's president says interested in joining BRICS group. Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune said his country is interested in joining the BRICS group, telling a TV interviewer that Algeria largely meets the conditions of joining the group. The BRICS group of nations comprises China, Russia, Brazil. That's it. We've already told you all that.
Yep. Listen to our other shows if you want to. Yeah,
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. So that's the gist of the article. So now we've got Algeria asking. It's particularly, and I've heard it referred to as a new alliance of the South, kind of predominantly, if you will.
Okay.
The Southern Hemisphere, right? Excluding Russia and China, obviously.
Right.
For obvious reasons. But think of, especially if you read Confessions of an Economic Hitman, think of the United States history.
Right.
In the Southern Hemisphere.
That is a very good point because they've been messing around there for the last 50, 60 years.
Post-World War II, really, for the most part.
Really, almost.
Before that,
years.
even, really, I mean...
Yeah, you
Spanish-American War, that's the Northern Hemisphere, right? But, well, no, is
the Boxer Rebellions? Yeah.
The Philippines in the Northern or Southern Hemisphere? I mean, it's right there on the equator-ish, right?
I'm pretty sure
Northern?
it's considered Southern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regardless, the United States has
wrong.
done a lot of stuff over the past 150 years. Once again, we've talked about all of this.
That people don't like.
Yeah. And now they have people that are willing to do what seems to be far more genuine business than, frankly, the United States has offered them for the past 150 years.
Well, we've talked before about Putin warning about, this Western, global, worldwide, I prefer to use the word, domination coming to an end here real soon.
Sure.
And this is very well the beginnings of it.
Well, people have been talking about it for decades. Look at Ron Paul. Economically, it's going to happen. All of the money that we're spending, all of the credit.
Eventually is going to catch up.
Malinvestment, spread too thin militarily. Think about this. Something I'll just bring up real quick, and I think I sent it to you. It was, gosh, I can't recall where I saw the article, but
you're good.
It was just about essentially how the aircraft carrier is obsolete. All right.
Oh yeah, because of the amount of rockets that could be launched at one time and just absolutely overwhelming.
It doesn't matter how good your defenses are if you're in the South China Sea and there are 10,000 rockets coming straight at your aircraft carrier.
Yeah, at least you'll die in the shade.
How good are? Yeah, very good. I hope that quote wasn't just from the really, really bad movie 300.
I don't know what you're talking about. What is that?
All right. Wise ass. You have a really silly ass looking smile on your face right now, boy.
Well, at least I don't have mustard on my face, I guess. I don't know.
Do I? Do I?
I don't. You don't either. I don't know.
All right, good.
Do I? Anyways.
So, yes. Let's go. Hold on. We've only been through two of our little sources here yet. Now we already have India, Iran, Argentina, Algeria wanting to join BRICS.
Well, India was already a part of it. That's the I.
A massive economic union.
Yeah, and China. I think China, they said, China's economy, that article said something about, let me pull it up here.
Let me get to this real quick while you're pulling it up. I looked up some World Trade Organization, WTO. Cool. I must have been thinking about COVID because I wrote WHO on top of the page here. So I pulled up some World Trade Organization numbers on Algeria. You can laugh into the mic. It's okay.
You're good.
So Algeria has a GDP,
Okay.
of $144.3 billion. So not insignificant.
No.
Okay.
It's all right.
Unfortunate to them, they have a trade imbalance of negative 10.5 billion.
Ooh.
So that means that they are importing 10.5 billion more than they're exporting, essentially. I mean, roughly in stupid Iowa man's terms.
Layman Iowa.
Yeah.
Cornfield terms.
Dirt. What do you think that most of their exports consist of? Algeria. First of all, for our listeners, where is Algeria? North Africa.
Yes.
On the Mediterranean.
Yep. So
Tunisia.
Food.
Tunisia and whatnot
Food
is up
and
there.
clothing, I'm sure, would
it's
be.
It's a desert.
Huh?
It's a desert.
They're right on the Mediterranean, though.
Not a bunch of crops, so they're not growing a bunch of crops.
Well, they screwed it up then.
94 billion in fuels and mining products.
Interesting.
Yes. All right. Now, that doesn't go without saying. They do grow cane or sugar, essentially cane or beet sugar. So they do grow sugar.
Okay.
What do you think that's for, though? Beet sugar?
Probably for alcohol.
Probably for alcohol for a fuel tank.
Or that. Yeah, good call.
So, they are a fuel economy. I don't think that they're really invested in going that green.
Why would you be if that's your major export?
And you're trying to develop your economy a lot?
Right.
14.1 billion in petroleum gases, 12.72 billion in crude oil, 6.5 billion in other than crude. So a lot of oil.
Yeah.
A lot of oil. Who do they export to? 53.3% the European Union. I would think that right now the European Union would probably want to have Algeria on their side.
No, dude, they're going green. They're happy.
Yeah, they're going green.
They have the windmills.
You know what? So maybe Russia or China. Well, Russia has a shitload of their own. So maybe India or China or
Brazil,
South Africa. Those oil importers will want that.
Probably. I'm sure they can find a buyer. Hey, if ISIS can take over Iraqi oil fields and make millions of dollars a day by doing it, I'm sure Algeria will have no problem finding anybody to sell their energy to.
Yeah, and I would also imagine that since everybody has been cornered into using the U.S. dollar to buy oil, that they will be very interested in using currencies which will fluctuate and they can probably speculate on. I don't know how it all works.
Well, maybe even the ruble, which is pegged to gold now, which is going to be eventually become a more powerful currency.
We're going to be getting more to that as well.
Right.
Actually, let's. I'm going to go ahead with this one here.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's more on the economic front. Aftab Ahmed of Reuters on August 3rd. Headline: India expects 8 to 9 billion in trade with Russia and Sri Lanka in 2 months. So, India continues to make economic moves toward Russia, who they already worked with
prior to all the sanctions,
particularly militarily.
Yes.
In the form of Russia supplying them with as high technology as Russia is willing to
also
export, I suppose.
We all saw what just happened in Sri Lanka. I mean, their government collapsed. There was an actual insurrection where they stormed the building and ate the food of the president.
Yeah.
Swam in his
pool.
Shit in his bed. All that fun stuff,
So,
literally,
India was sending a ton of food to them.
And then the president's family members were being pulled out of their houses and beaten to death.
Right. Well, I don't know about that. I didn't actually see any reports on that, but we were talking about it. And it was getting bad. I know rich people were getting beat in the streets. And
It got bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first
And they said the only thing that's going to save their economy was a bigger loan, right? They needed somebody to bail them out. And
yeah, which it was all about IMF loans and whatnot, which is the crux of the John Perkins book that
Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Essentially, small developing nations like that can't repay back the loans. Yada yada. Basically, just enslaving them in debt. Big scam.
Yeah, big scam.
The second paragraph of this article from Reuters, we're pretty Reuters heavy today. The Reserve Bank of India last month allowed importers and exporters to pay in the partially convertible rupee, a move widely seen as making trade with Russia and South Asian neighbors easier instead of relying on dollars. Once again, folks, the dollar has been, since 1946, the Bretton Woods Conference, we've talked about it, the reserve currency of the world, okay? Yep. Which means that pretty much everything is priced in dollars.
Yes.
And what it does is it offers an edge. We have experienced way cheaper gas prices than everybody else in the world. Nobody's feeling bad for us because of high gas prices.
That's very true.
Because we're just paying probably less than what most of them have been paying for a long their
time.
Entire lives.
Yeah. They're paying by the liter.
Yeah.
And it's not good.
So, 5 euros a liter. Okay. That's 10 something a gallon.
Yeah.
Ish.
I don't think you'd be very happy about that.
No, you wouldn't be happy. So nobody's
But that's what I love about
bad for
Americans, though, because we burn down freaking buildings over that.
What?
$10 gas prices.
Do we?
Do it. It would happen. Look what happened just a couple of years ago up in Minnesota. Right? Places got burned down.
So, I guess the sort of trend of what we're talking about here is that we're rather easily driving people into the hands of Russia and China, in my opinion.
Yeah. People's opinions, leaders of countries, absolutely. I mean, we have been for a long time, especially in the information age where people can literally go online and learn about all this stuff that we've been involved in. There's former government agents that have written books about the stuff. I mean, a lot of the stuff that has been going on since the 60s and 50s and 60s is coming out now.
Sure. Programs, MK Ultra, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm. Which were
Operation Paperclip.
All that stuff. It's all true. Yeah, India's imports from Russia, mainly crude oil, jumped nearly 5 times to more than $15 billion between the end of July and February.
So they're getting a lot of cheap oil now. They are liking it, folks. The sanctions are working out very well for them.
Yeah, and it's really hurting Europe, and it's very, very.
No, well, they're hurting themselves, and so
the U.S. and Europe, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not hurting these countries that they're trying to the sanctions are imposed on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Another point, in addition to the last point of driving other people into China and Russia's arms, that I'd like to make, is that they start using other currencies and the dollar loses favor, and all of those dollars come home, and we can buy less and less with them, and the currency collapses.
Yeah.
That's when we really need to worry about dictatorship coming. That's when we really need to worry about government clamping down.
And we're really going to have to worry about a lot of stuff then. Yeah. So, well, moving on with that, when you talk about all these countries being pushed into BRICS' arms, Russia and China's arms, essentially, and India and stuff, and how the world, the U.S. just continues to provoke situations like they have been in Iran, we've spoke about before on the show, with arms and stuff and everything, and, Nancy Pelosi was getting ready, or she went and took that trip to Taiwan.
Yeah, She went over there to Taiwan.
After China told her not to.
Well,
you dumb bitch.
I don't know how all that diplomatic BS works.
It was all a bunch of really a show, dog and pony show, I thought.
One thing I will say, having listened to Glenn Beck on the matter.
Yeah.
He said that there should have never been an announcement that Nancy Pelosi was going to Taiwan. Just go there and then deal with it afterwards. Because you know that you're just provoking Taiwan at that point. This is all according to what I heard Glenn Beck say on his show.
I would say, especially if it was a security issue like they claimed it was, because they brought in a bunch of ships all over, get closer to the area just in case, then yeah, that would have made more sense.
Ran military drills?
Mm-hmm. And not even said anything about her being there until after it was over, after she had already left. That would make a lot more sense to me.
Second good point that I thought he made was that who is Nancy Pelosi to go on foreign trips like that anyway, in the first place? She's the Speaker of the House.
What? Yeah, why would she need to go make that trip? Shouldn't that be something like the president or vice president should be making?
I just think it's a good point. I don't... in recent stuff that I've seen from Drunk Nancy lately, which, hey, by the way, these two dudes that you're listening to in this frickin' pole barn shed shop in the middle of nowhere in Iowa, we've tied one on and made asses out of ourselves more than once, okay?
We've done it. We're human.
Odds are, I'm not trying to cut you short at all here, TV, but odds are neither of us are going to be Speaker of the House. I'm just thinking that that's not in our...
I think you're pretty spot on with that. I wouldn't want that job anyway.
She has sounded incredibly drunk lately. I just thought of all sorts of nasty stuff to say, but she has sounded drunker than piss lately.
It kind of reminds me of that Cheech and Chong film when they get arrested.
Yeah,
he needs a drink, man, and he gives him that water. That judge is drinking water, and he spits
fucking vodka, man.
Yeah, that's Nancy.
Well, judging from her husband's recent performance, they might be getting smashed up there at the Pelosi house, and I'm not one to judge. I'm just got a lot more responsibilities than I do, folks, and
maybe it's all that expensive ice cream does. It's got some like chamomile tea in it, dude. It just makes you messed up, right?
What, some San Fran hippie stuff? I don't know.
Well, remember during the COVID lockdowns when she was showing videos of all of her ice cream in her freaking fridge that was more expensive than most people's cars?
Like the hippies out in San Francisco do. They have tons of ice cream in their fridge.
She's showing up a lot, and she showed up the other night on James Corden's show from her kitchen. Now, after claiming that the president is not concerned about the working people during the coronavirus outbreak, she revealed her key, Laura, to surviving the quarantine.
Chocolate.
Really?
Chocolate candy.
Oh, wow.
And...
Oh, my... Wow.
Other people in our family go for some other flavors, but chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here.
Oh, my God. You've heard of California closets? That's the California closets of freezers. Did you see that sucker? She's talking about protecting the working man. She's got those Jenny gourmet ice creams. Those babies go for $13 a tub. Don't tell me about being the working man.
Come on, Paul Pelosi, he did pretty well. Okay, he does pretty well. They're doing fine, Raymond, in the confines of Napa Valley, Sonoma Valley, Pacific Heights. They're all fine there.
Anyway, so Nancy went and made this trip.
So Russia said that they... I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, Russia, flat out, and I'm sure most people have heard this already, said that they back China over the provocative... In fact, here are two headlines one from Reuters, 8/2, August 2nd, by... once again, Guy Falconbridge. Russia backed China over provocative Pelosi visit to Taiwan. The second headline from Fortune.com, Nicholas Gordon, on August 3rd. Russia backs Beijing on Nancy Pelosi's Taiwan visit, drawing the two countries closer together on issues like Ukraine. Yep. So Taiwan and Ukraine, guess what? We're not just driving other people closer to Russia and China. Russia and China hasn't always had the most trusting relationship, but guess what? We're driving them closer to each other too, it would appear.
Yeah, and that's bad news for the United States. And here, right on the heels of that, literally a day later, The NATO chief warns Putin the whole alliance will react if he invades a NATO nation and says Ukraine war is, quote, the most dangerous situation in Europe since World War II. And he may not be wrong, folks. This is a very, very powder kegery situation, if you want to call it that.
I don't doubt that at all. All I'm saying is that as evil as leaders and autocrats and bureaucrats and military folks and yada, yada, yada are all over the world, ours are just as evil, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
But they're more powerful. They're more powerful.
Well, for the time being, they're powerful in their own way, dude.
They're more power hungry, it seems. I mean, I don't know. All those leader folks are power hungry.
I think they're just narcissists. Extreme narcissists.
Yeah. We are their cannon fodder. We are their...
This is a game to them. To come up and get in front of the cameras and do their dog and pony show and deceive the whole... I mean, that's probably how they get off, dude, deceiving the entire nation. They think it's funny.
Well, they think that we are their livestock. And I hate to say it, but a lot of people behave like livestock a lot of the time.
Unfortunately, there are quite a few out there. But in the information age, ignorance is a choice.
No, I mean, ignorance is always a choice, but it's like a very serious choice now, right? It's a choice that, the truth is out there, right?
Yep. Hang in there. The truth is out there.
This brings us to another really good one that's tied in here regarding Turkey. Didn't you? Hey, Teepee, didn't you just say... Were you finished with that? Is that good?
I was, yeah.
So NATO's going to respond in a completely unified fashion, huh?
That's what they said. The whole alliance will react.
That was...
the chief of NATO.
That was NATO's chief.
Yeah, what was his name? Hold on.
Turdface McGurgskin? Something European like that?
His name was Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. Reaffirms NATO's opposition to Putin.
Hey, I would feel so privileged if we had listeners in Europe, so I didn't mean it offensively, but hey.
If you're in Europe, thanks for listening.
If you're in Europe, thanks for listening, and I want you to know that one of the reasons that we are here doing what we're doing today is because we are literally trying to bring a message of liberty and freedom to the entire freaking world.
Yeah, and let everybody know.
And it seems right now like the U.S. is kind of the base. Tell us if we're wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So Turkey's Erdogan meets Putin in Sochi. 3 ships carrying grain leave Ukrainian ports. That is a headline from Karen Gilchrist, CNBC.com on
August 5th.
August 5th. It's pretty big news, folks, because there's one member of NATO. We just heard what the NATO chief said.
Yeah.
So
how strong is NATO's alliance really in reality then?
Well, Turkey seems to give a lot of people trouble. In fact, I was watching a YouTube video today on a YouTube channel called The Duran. I mean, just in case you want to check it out, it's just somewhere I get information, which gives me, a lot of other areas to branch out into and read about and whatnot.
Another good source of information is Dave Smith's podcast, Part of the Problem. I would check that out.
Okay.
That's some really good info.
No affiliations whatsoever, folks.
None. Just giving a shout out.
But according to them, Turkey and Russia have a very tumultuous relationship as well. In fact, they've got some sort of proxy skirmish interests going on right now. I believe Azerbaijan and Armenia are going at it a little bit.
Like the border dispute crap they've been... I can't remember.
I don't know. I know that Turkey is on the Black Sea, which guess what the north coast for now, part of the north coast for now of the Black Sea is Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Well, and Russia.
So yeah,
with Crimea.
Yeah, so it sounds like, and then Russia prior to that as well. So it sounds like, according to them, that even though Putin and Russia are more powerful and larger, obviously, that Turkey, once again, I mean, goodness, how different would it be? It's been the same way for thousands of years. When you're right in the middle, like on the when you are on the Asia Euro-Asia highway for thousands of years. You have a say in shit.
And yeah, you got to play the game the right way so you continue to survive.
The way into the Black Sea is right through their country. So they have control of a lot because the strait into the Black Sea, guess what? It goes through Istanbul.
Mm-hmm.
Constantinople in ancient
they've controlled that for a long time.
Yeah.
That's controlled a lot of the world powers for trade.
But they even though they have differences and yada yada yada, sounds like they still get together and they talk about stuff. And it happened recently in Sochi.
Weird.
What were some other highlights of that article?
Well,
shipments of grain. 3 shipments of grain.
Oh yeah,
left Ukraine, and guess what? The Russians haven't stopped them. It's not like the Russians are stopping food.
Like they're telling us that
they're telling us that. I don't think that it's happening.
No, because the Russians got to eat too.
Well, this is,
and they want to keep their allies.
Well,
happy.
This is sending at least Ukrainian grain, exporting it to other parts of the world that are going to need it. You know, I
like bread.
Crazy, man. Crazy. So
it is crazy, and another crazy thing going off of that, with all these issues going on in the world, Australia faces threats of high-intensity conflict with China, experts warn.
Yeah, I found this one on news.com. Australia.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Australia's been there's some news outlets been putting out some good news lately.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's super propaganda.
Like Sky News. I think it's part of that Rupert Murdoch connection. I think Sky is the Rupert, so Fox News and New York Post.
Interesting.
So yeah, they've got that. So they're not afraid to particularly make fun of, Democrat administrations and whatnot. But yeah, so Australia faces real threat of high-intensity conflict with China, experts warn. Well, first of all, experts warn, okay?
Experts. They've been wrong in the past.
Yeah.
But here's something interesting about that I have to add. I know in 2012, the Marine Corps started changing its operations up to start sending, quote-unquote, deployments, Marine expeditionary units to Australia to do training exercises with the Australians. That was 10 years ago.
I remember hearing about this.
Yes. And they started focusing, and then slowly but surely over the years, the Marine Corps started getting rid of their Abram tanks, started focusing on island hopping campaigns.
I remember reading about this, how they completely got rid of their tanks. In fact, it's funny, I was talking to another buddy who was a Marine, and he was kind of blasted by that. But I said, all you have to do is just send them to Fort Sill again if you ever need tanks, right?
Yeah, they'll adapt.
Or not Fort Sill, but wherever the heck they do tanks.
The Marine Corps didn't get rid of all that knowledge, though.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty silly because they're such a devastating weapon, but their focus is on an island hopping in the South China Sea. So I find it very interesting. Australia is hyping up their alertness. It says here, Australian National University Emirates Professor of Strategic Studies, Paul Dibb, said that in 4 years flat, the government went from being confident 10 years or more of warning time of major threat to recognition that warning time was over and finished. We now face the probability of high-intensity conflict in our own immediate strategic environment, Professor Dibb, a former director of Defense Intelligence Organization of the former Deputy Secretary for Strategy and Intelligence in the Department of Defense, added,
Crikey!
That's a lot, mate.
I don't know about that, mate.
Let's be frank. It's a code name for certain country to our distant north, is what he added. Within the last 72 hours, Beijing fired a missile for the first time ever directly over the democratic island nation of 24 million people, which was Taiwan, right? There's videos all over Twitter of this happening, that rocket being fired.
All because of Nancy.
Old Nancy.
Drunk Nancy.
Yeah. Way to go, Nance. Screwing it up again.
I just going to Taiwan.
Just another thing I like about Nancy, is she totally, Dave Chappelle must be some type of predictionist. some type of profit. Because when she was asked on live television, if her husband profited from any insider information that she gave him, she was all like, absolutely. What? No, absolutely not. Straight up dipped out. Part of that Chappelle skit, we're like,
what about people who say you're only interested in the Middle East for oil?
What? Huh? Oil? Who said something about oil, bitch? You cooking?
and they fucking dip out of the fucking White House room or whatever it was, the press conference room in the White House.
I don't recall seeing that one, to be honest.
You should.
Well, that spells bad news for Australia, but I just don't think that the United States is in any place to kind of militarily be worrying about what's going on over there right now. That's just my opinion, and I'm nobody. So, trend seems to be that Australia is under threat once again. I don't think that... I guess I just don't think that we need to be getting ourselves wrapped up in Japan, Taiwan, or Australia's or the Philippines' defense. It's just my opinion.
I would agree.
I think we need to kind of just focus on getting things sort of settled in here. Take care of ourselves in the United States.
Right. Take care of our own. Stop focusing on imports. Right? But anyway. So, this has been a little update for August. If you liked what you heard, please like and share. Follow us. Spotify, Audible, whatever you're listening to us on, just follow us. Follow us on Twitter, too. That would do us a good solid.
At Iowa Talk Guys.
Yep. At Iowa Talk Guys. If you want to get a hold of us individually, I'm TP at Iowatalkguys.com. The link's in the description. Or you can get a hold of Theo at Iowatalkguys.com.
Theo at Iowatalkguys.com.
So, thanks for listening to us, guys. Like and share with your friends. Subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff. You know what to do. Iowa Talk Guys out.
Oh!